the heart of this nation, under skies so blue,
there's a spirit that's stirring, values strong and true.
from the mountains to the prairies, from the cities to the sea, we stand for liberty, for faith and family. We're diving deep into the heart of what we believe.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take your sources, we distill the key knowledge, the insights, really helping you become well-informed on, critical topics. Today, our Deep Dive is, it's a difficult one. We're looking at a series of urgent and frankly profoundly somber reports about a tragic event. It unfolded on September 10th, 2025. Now, given the gravity of this, our mission here is very specific, to carefully unpack the factual details, just what's presented in the articles you've provided. No commentary, no conjecture from us. We're really focused on reconstructing the timeline, the documented reactions as they emerged, respecting the solemn nature of it all.
That's exactly right. Our goal is to guide you through those initial reports, how the understanding sort of evolved over time, and the significant reactions we saw from various public figures, organizations. We want to make sure you have a clear, comprehensive, and above all, a factual grasp of what happened, drawn directly, only from the sources. What's particularly, striking here is just how quickly the information came out, that rapid succession, and how the narrative around a breaking event like this can, unfold in real time. Often with those initial reports needing subsequent clarification as more definitive facts come to light. We'll trace that path exactly as it was laid out in the materials you shared.
Okay, let's start then. Let's set the scene for this tragic day. The initial reports all point to Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. That's the date, the location, Utah Valley University, UVU in Orem, Utah. And to really understand the reverberations of this event, we have to understand the person at the center, Charlie Kirk. Our sources identify him as, a prominent conservative commentator, host of The Charlie Kirk Show, and maybe most significantly, the founder of Turning Point USA. He's just 31 years old, but already a really formidable, influential voice in conservative youth activism. He built this movement known for its assertive presence on college campuses right across the country.
A very significant figure, especially in those circles.
Absolutely. And on this day, he was scheduled to kick off his American Comeback Tour right there at UVU. The event was designed as one of his hallmark Q&A sessions. That format he was known for, engaging directly with students, attendees, often on topics that sparked, considerable debate.
That direct engagement was really his signature style, wasn't it?
It was, and it was during one of these moments, these direct engagement moments. Specifically, the sources say, while Kirk was answering a question about transgender shooters, that the unthinkable happened. A single shot was fired. It struck Kirk in the neck. The sources we have are quite explicit. They mention the graphic nature of the video that apparently captured the incident. It's a detail that really underscores the brutal reality of what happened. And this specific detail about the topic he was addressing when he was shot, it appears consistently across multiple initial reports. It sort of frames the immediate context of the attack as reported.
Yes, that specific detail about the topic, it is noteworthy. Not for us endorsing the content, of course, but as a recurring factual element in those first reports. It really points to the sometimes highly charged atmosphere that can surround these speaking engagements, especially for figures like Kirk, who, frequently discussed contentious social and political issues on campuses. His American Comeback Tour, by its very nature, it was designed for that direct engagement with young people, often in places where his views might be challenged. So that detail about the question, it helps establish the immediate, very specific context of the incident, just as the sources conveyed it.
So just try to picture the scene in the immediate aftermath. An event meant for, lively debate, suddenly just shattered by violence. Our sources, they paint a picture of immediate chaos, raw urgency ripping through the campus. Kirk was, according to the reports, rushed immediately to a local hospital.
Right.
His condition was initially described as critical. That designation, it conveys the severe nature of the injury, the desperate fight for his life that was clearly underway.
Critical condition. That's always such a serious indicator.
It is. And this uncertainty around his status in those first moments, it led to this rapid, just widespread outpouring of concern. It quickly dominated social media, news alerts.
Yeah, those initial hours were just marked by this profound uncertainty. You could almost feel it reflected in the public discourse online, the calls for prayer, the expressions of worry, they came so swiftly, and from a really wide array of public figures, which just underscores the severity and Charlie Kirk's significant public profile, we saw prominent conservative media outlets like townhall.com. They posted an urgent alert. It read, breaking: Charlie Kirk shot at an event at Utah Valley University. Condition unknown at this time. Pray for Charlie.
Okay.
That was one of the very first widespread alerts. And it was amplified really quickly across social media. There was another one from Rapid Response 47 sharing a picture link to.
And the concern wasn't just, limited to one political corner. The sheer breadth of those immediate reactions, it really highlighted how serious this was perceived to be right from the start. We saw multiple posts from really influential figures. Nick Sorter posted, "Breaking update! Charlie Kirk has been shot in what appears to be the neck at Utah Valley University. This video is horrific to watch. Charlie's condition is unknown, but he's one of the bravest fighters I know. Pray hard for Charlie sauce."
That language, horrific, really conveys the shock.
It does. And then Senator Mike Lee, he immediately shared his concern. He said, "I am tracking the situation at Utah Valley University closely. Please join me in praying for Charlie Kirk and the students gathered there." Similarly, Speaker Mike Johnson urged, "Please join us in praying for our good friend Charlie Kirk." And echoing that, Vice President J.D. Vance posted just a powerful message. "Dear God, protect Charlie in his darkest hour." Even commentators, people like Will Kane, who just wrote, "Good Lord, pray for Charlie Kirk," and Batya Ungar Sargon, "Oh my God, Charlie, I am praying you are alive."
Mm-hmm.
The collective impact of these early statements, it just underscored this shared sense of shock, anguish, really, as the news started spreading.
It really demonstrates the immediate, profound impact a violent event like this involving a public figure can have.
Yeah.
But what's particularly fascinating here from an analytical perspective is how the information itself starts to evolve during such a rapidly unfolding event. And we see this very clearly in those initial reports about the suspect's status. That underwent a crucial shift.
Right. The suspect. What did the first reports say?
Well, one early report from Deseret News, which was cited in a RedState article, specifically in an update, 3:41 p.m. EDT, it initially stated that, quote, "A suspect is in custody and the campus is on lockdown." And the alert from UVU itself was quoted saying, "A single shot was fired on campus toward a visiting speaker. Police are investigating now. Suspect in custody."
Okay, so suspect in custody, that sounds contained initially.
Initially, yes. It provided that fleeting sense of containment for people following the story live.
But as we often see in these chaotic, fast-moving situations, initial reports can be based on, preliminary information, sometimes incomplete.
Exactly.
And this situation at UVU, it turned out to be a stark example of that. That initial report, suspect in custody, it quickly changed. It just illustrates how fluid, how challenging these situations are for accurate, real-time reporting.
It does.
Later updates, we found them in both the Town Hall and RedState articles. They explicitly clarified that the suspect was, in fact, still at large.
Still at large.
Not a minor correction, right? That's a fundamental shift in understanding the public safety situation.
Absolutely. That shift from suspect in custody to suspect still at large.
Yeah.
It's not just a reporting error to gloss over. It's a really stark illustration of the intense pressure cooker that defines real-time crisis communication. Authorities, they often prioritize containing a situation, managing public panic. And initial reports might reflect preliminary intelligence or maybe even a sort of best-case early assessment that then gets revised.
Makes sense.
So for you, the listener, this really underscores a critical lesson when consuming breaking news. Initial reports are often just sketches, right? Not fully realized portraits. And a true deep dive like this one requires us to track these corrections, understand their impact on public perception, and crucially on the unfolding emergency response itself.
Because a suspect at large changes everything.
Completely. The threat level stays high. It impacts campus lockdown procedures, community alerts, the sheer scale of the law enforcement search. It's a whole different ballgame. This dynamic really highlights the complex challenges faced by both news organizations and authorities trying to get accurate information out under extreme pressure. NBC News later confirmed it too. The shooter of Charlie Kirk is not yet in custody, with a major police presence at Utah Valley University.
Right. So with that scene set, the immediate chaos documented, the conflicting early reports, our sources then guide us through that agonizing wait for news. You had these fervent prayers for Charlie's recovery echoing across the nation, online, everywhere. But as the hours stretched on, hope, tragically, it began to fade. It gave way to a deeply somber reality. And here's where the narrative takes that profoundly saddening turn. Despite being rushed to the hospital, critical condition, everything, Charlie Kirk, at just 31 years old, tragically did not survive his injuries.
Such a young age.
It is. And this heartbreaking news, it marked a definitive, somber turning point in the story. It confirmed the worst fears that had been building since the shooting was first reported.
And the official announcement, where did that come from?
It came from President Trump via his Truth Social account. That's where the official confirmations seem to emerge first, according to our sources.
Wow. That confirmation coming from a former president, it really underscores the significant the public stature he'd achieved in his young life. President Trump's initial statement, while Kirk was still fighting for his life, had apparently conveyed condolences, described him as a great guy from top to bottom.
Right, I saw that mentioned.
Yeah. But his later statement, the one issued after Kirk's passing, it was understandably more expansive and deeply mournful. He wrote, and I'm quoting directly from the source material here, "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie." He continued, "He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you."
That's quite a statement.
It is. It not only confirmed the death, but also reflected profoundly on Kirk's perceived legacy, his connection to that youth movement, and his personal relationship with President Trump. It gives a glimpse into the depth of the loss felt in certain political circles.
And the sources, they also provide some deeply poignant personal details that really bring the human cost of this tragedy into sharp focus. Charlie Kirk leaves behind his wife, Erica, and their 2 young children.
Oh, that's just heartbreaking.
It adds an immeasurable layer of heartbreak to the whole narrative. It reminds us, beyond the public figure, beyond the politics, there was a family just profoundly impacted.
Of course.
And what makes this even more somber, there's specific detail noted in the reports. Kirk had apparently appeared on Fox and Friends with his family just weeks before the shooting.
Oh, wow. Weeks before.
Yeah. Fox News even shared a post showing Kirk with his family, stating, and I'll quote this too, "Charlie Kirk appeared on Fox and Friends with his family just weeks before he was shot in Utah. Prayers are continuing to pour in for the Turning Point USA co-founder."
It offers such a vivid, almost unbearable reminder of a life full of promise just shattered in an instant. Brings the scope of the tragedy much closer to home for many people, I imagine. And beyond the individual grief, his family, his close associates, there was also this swift and widespread outpouring of organizational responses. Continued prayers from the broader conservative movement he was so central to. Salem Media Group, for instance, a major media conglomerate. They air The Charlie Kirk Show. They own platforms like Town Hall Media, RedState. They issued a statement reflecting that profound shock within their professional family.
What did they say?
They stated, "We are closely monitoring the tragic news regarding Charlie Kirk. Our hearts are heavy for Charlie, his family, his friends, and all those impacted at Utah Valley University." It continues, "As a Salem family, we lift him and his loved ones up in prayer, asking God for healing, strength, and..." The statement, as provided in our sources, actually cuts off there, but the sentiment is abundantly clear. A deep sense of loss, solidarity.
Right. And townhall.com, being part of that Salem Media family and a key platform itself, they posted an update too. One that really summarized that shift from hoping for recovery to acknowledging the tragedy. Their message read, "Charlie Kirk has passed away after being shot at a campus event in Utah. Please join us in prayer for him and his family." And then it added, "His dedication to his God, his family, and his country will continue to inspire countless Americans, and his legacy will live on forever."
That marks a very clear transition, doesn't it? From the calls for recovery to the acknowledgments of his passing, and coupling it with a reflection on his perceived impact, his legacy within that movement.
Exactly.
And if we try to connect this to the bigger picture, I mean, the sheer volume, the prominence of this outpouring of prayer, sympathy from so many different public figures, organizations, it really highlights the significant public profile Charlie Kirk had built. In a relatively short but clearly impactful career, he wasn't just another commentator. He was highly recognizable, a movement builder.
His events drew crowds.
Huge crowds, yeah, like the American Comeback Tour. Consistently large, engaged audiences. The immediate and widespread nature of these reactions, it just underscores the profound public and political impact of such a devastating event. It shows how the loss of a public figure, especially under such violent circumstances, sends these immediate, widespread shockwaves through communities, through the public sphere. It almost transcends immediate partisan lines in those first moments of shared grief and shock, even if, his commentary itself was often quite partisan.
That makes sense. So as the initial shock, the grief, maybe began to settle somewhat, attention inevitably turned back to the ongoing situation and the critical element, the investigation. Our sources indicate that, as of the latest reports included in the material, a deeply concerning detail persists.
Which is?
The suspect who shot and killed Charlie Kirk is still at large.
Still large.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's significant.
It remains a key and, frankly, unsettling detail. It profoundly impacts the ongoing situation at Utah Valley University, the broader community. The reports emphasize there's still a major police presence at the university in Orem. That indicates a continued high-level law enforcement effort to locate the person responsible.
Of course.
But the fact that the perpetrator hasn't been apprehended, it just elevates that sense of urgency, the concern for public safety.
Naturally. That unresolved status, it elevates concern everywhere. For the university community itself, I mean, an active shooter situation is a community's absolute worst nightmare, and for the general public too, especially given the victim's prominence.
And it went beyond local police, didn't it?
It did. Adding to the gravity, the scale of the situation, FBI Director Kash Patel issued a statement confirming federal involvement in the investigation.
Okay. What did Director Patel say?
He stated, and again I'm quoting the source, "We are closely monitoring reports of the tragic shooting involving Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. Our thoughts are with Charlie, his loved ones, and everyone affected." He added, "Agents will be on the scene quickly, and the FBI stands in full support of the ongoing response and investigation."
So FBI on the scene quickly, full support.
Exactly. And that swift, decisive involvement of the FBI, it isn't just symbolic. It indicates the high level of concern, the significant resources being deployed here. It signals this isn't being treated just as a local crime, but as something with national implications, particularly given, it happened at a university, involved such a prominent public figure.
Right.
The FBI brings expertise in, forensics, digital investigations, extensive intelligence networks, all aimed at bringing the individual responsible to justice through a multi-agency effort.
Let's talk a bit about Charlie Kirk himself, just for background. It helps explain the breadth, the intensity of the reaction to his death. Our sources confirm, again, he was only 31 years old when he passed. In that relatively short time, he'd built this extraordinary platform, widely recognized as the founder of Turning Point USA, that conservative nonprofit he established back in 2012.
Right. TPUSA.
Turning Point USA's core mission, as stated, was to identify, educate, train, organize students, promoting principles of freedom, free markets, limited government. And under Kirk's leadership, TPUSA grew incredibly rapidly. It established a really significant, often quite assertive presence on college campuses across the country, influencing a whole generation of young conservatives.
And his approach, it was characterized by that direct engagement, wasn't it? Often provocative commentary, especially through his popular The Charlie Kirk Show podcast. His radio program reached millions. He leveraged social media very effectively, became a master of digital outreach, and his events, like the American Comeback Tour that he was starting, they were designed as these vibrant forums for conservative ideas.
Not just speeches, right. The Q&A was key.
Exactly. They often attracted large crowds, not just for the speeches, but specifically for those Q&A sessions where he directly engaged with both supporters and critics. That direct, sometimes confrontational style, that was central to his appeal among his base. And it certainly made him a recognizable figure, albeit, sometimes controversial, across the political spectrum. His ability to connect with and, crucially, mobilize young people, that made him a unique force in conservative politics.
In one of his last known public actions just before the shooting, it provides this really vivid snapshot of the atmosphere right before the tragedy. Jason Chaffetz, former congressman, commentator, he was apparently at the UVU event.
Like he was there.
Yes. And he shared an ex-post from Kirk, apparently showing an incredibly impressive crowd at UVU.
Wow. Moments before.
Just moments before. That simple detail, it underscores the sheer scale of his reach, the energy surrounding his events. It paints this picture of a vibrant, engaged audience gathered for public discourse. And then just moments later, that scene was tragically, irrevocably altered by violence. It really captures the sudden, unexpected nature of it all, highlights the vulnerability of these open public forums, even ones meant for civic engagement.
It really does. And it inevitably raises this important, very complex question about public safety at events like this, particularly those held on university campuses, which are by design generally open, accessible environments.
Right.
The fact that a prominent public figure, known for addressing contentious topics, could be targeted in that setting, and that the suspect, crucially, remains at large. It poses significant challenges. For law enforcement, for the institutions themselves, university campuses, they traditionally foster open dialogue, free expression. But those values, they can inherently conflict with the need for stringent security, can't they? Especially when you're hosting high-profile speakers who might attract both fervent supporters and, well, strong opposition.
It's a difficult balance.
Extremely. The rapid response of local police, followed by the swift involvement of the FBI, it underscores that national significance attached to an incident like this. It's not just seen as a local crime, it becomes an event with much broader implications. For campus security protocols, for the very nature of political discourse in public spaces, and for the ongoing challenge of protecting speakers and audiences in what seems like increasingly polarized environments. It really compels us to consider the inherent complexities of securing public forums while trying to maintain that accessibility, that free exchange of ideas that are so fundamental to university life.
So, to recap this deep dive, we've focused today on meticulously presenting the factual accounts of the tragic shooting and death of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University on September 10th, 2025. Just as provided in your sources. We've covered the event unfolding in real time, those immediate, widespread reactions from a diverse array of public figures, organizations, the heartbreaking confirmation of his passing at only 31, and the latest details available on the sources on the ongoing investigation, including that crucial detail. The suspect remains at large and the FBI is heavily involved. Our aim throughout was to give you a clear, factual, and unbiased overview of this profoundly somber event, drawing solely from the details presented in the materials you shared with us.
And in moments of such sudden, profound tragedy, the swift flow of information, even though it can be conflicting initially, like we saw with those suspect status reports, it plays such a critical role in shaping our collective understanding of what actually happened. This event, it really underscores the profound human impact of violence, particularly when it affects public figures in public spaces, and the immediate widespread reverberations it sends through communities, through the public sphere. It serves as a really stark reminder of the challenges in ensuring security in these open environments, places dedicated to public discourse, and the lasting questions that remain when an assailant isn't immediately apprehended, leaving a community grappling not just with loss, but with unanswered questions too.
We hope this comprehensive deep dive has provided you with that clear, factual overview of this very somber event, based strictly on the reported details. As you reflect on these facts, maybe consider the broader implications. An incident like this, happening at a university event, where the free exchange of ideas is supposed to be paramount. What does this tragedy perhaps reveal about that persistent challenge of securing these kinds of open gatherings in our modern world, and maybe the societal tensions that can sometimes converge, tragically, in academic spaces? Something to think about. Thank you for joining us on the Deep Dive.